Hey, Divine Ones, it's Jerome Braggs, and I wanted to come to you on this Sunday night to kind of talk with you about something that I found on my healing journey was really important and really reconnecting to this was key in my healing and key in transforming my life. Excuse me, and that is our innocence, my innocence, and our shared innocence. And what I mean by innocence is really the essence of who you are as a soul. It's the essence of your being, of what you are as a soul having a human experience, of what you are as a facet of God, incarnated here in the flesh, having a human life. And I want to talk to you about what that innocence is and why reconnecting to it is the key to true happiness and freedom in your life, and why not being connected to you makes those things actually elusive. So, what your innocence actually is you've heard me talk in these last few videos, but I want to share it again here. I'll be sharing it a lot because it really is the source and the truth. And the more you hear it and the more you begin to understand it, the more you'll begin to sift into your consciousness and into your way of being. And your innocence, so what ends up happening is when we incarnate here, every single one of us comes into this lifetime with our soul completely connected to our soul attached to our bodies, embodied inside of our bodies, and really connected to what our soul understands about us and what it knows about us. And it really boils down to what that means. It really boils down to these two, like, very simple things. There's more to what your soul knows and what we're connected to, but the innocence of you really boils down to these two things. And they are that you come in understanding that you are a wholly good thing in this world, right? So that you are a wholly good thing, that all of your entire being is good, that all of your entire being is worthy, that you're basically, all of you is enough. There's no aspect of you that is not, and there's no aspect of you that is not good. You come in knowing that, with that understanding. The other part of that, and so of your innocence, right? So that's part of your innocence. Your innocence is knowing that you're wholly good. There's nothing wrong with you, right? So that's what you come in understanding. There's nothing wrong with you, and you have done nothing wrong. The other part of your innocence that you come in wholly attached to is understanding that this world is a wholly good thing to be inside of, and it is a safe thing to be inside of. Your soul comes in from the God dimension, understanding that, fully knowing it, and fully being connected to that. And what happens is something happens in our lives. Either we get socialized or we get traumatized. And you remember what I said about trauma is not necessarily what happens to you. It's what, sorry if you guys can hear that train outside. Trauma is not necessarily what happens to you. It's what that event made you believe about yourself. And the trauma, you remember the root word of trauma is a Greek word that means wound. So it's an injury to the self. And that injury is that event made you disconnect somehow from your innocence. It made you believe that something was wrong with you somehow, that you're not wholly good, that you're conditionally good, right? So part of that is when you come in understanding you're a wholly good thing, that all of you is good, and then something happens where you either get socialized, meaning your environment makes you believe some type of way, your family system makes you believe some type of way, your schooling makes you believe some way, but your social structure makes you believe somehow that you're not wholly good, that only parts of you are good, that only when you behave a certain way are you good, only when you look a certain way are you good. And when you don't look a certain way, or if you don't behave a certain way, if you don't have certain things, then you're not good, right? So you get disconnected from that. You get disconnected from the innocence of you that knows that all of you is good no matter what, unconditionally. And the other part that you get socialized into or traumatized into is to believing that this world is not safe, and that this world is not a wholly good thing to be in, and you are not safe inside of this world. This world is not a wholly good thing to be in. It's not fun. And you are not safe. And especially you're not safe to be yourself, to be all of you. Why that's really crucial is because the way this particular universe that we exist in is set up is whatever you hold true about yourself must shape your reality. It must shape all of the events that you experience, all of the relationships that you have, and all of your life experience must come back and have at the root core of them what you hold as true for you and how you feel about yourself. That is what creates all of your reality. And remember, we're responsible for 100% of our reality. We create 100% of the reality, and we create it out of the truths that we hold about ourselves, meaning what we believe is true about ourselves and what we believe is true about the world around us and how we feel about ourselves, right? And how we feel about the world around us. When we get divorced from our innocence, what we feel about ourselves is something is wrong with us, that we're not holy enough, and that we begin to create realities that mirror that back to us some type of way, and particularly that will touch that point. So you may attract and create relationships, but at the core, that relationship makes you feel some type of way, like you're not enough. And that there may be something wrong with you. Whatever that thing is that you believe is wrong with you, that relationship is going to touch that point. It's going to touch that kind of wound, to put its finger on it and say, yep, right here, it's still something wrong with you. Your life experiences are going to mirror that. There'll be events that happen that are going to mirror that are going to help you feel more like this is, you believe this is true about you. And so the universe must create a reality around you that affirms and confirms that in some type of way. Same thing with if you believe the world is not safe and that this world is not a wholly good thing to be inside of. However that shows up for you, it may be that this world is not safe for my skin color or my gender. It may be that in this particular region of the world that I'm in, I'm not safe, like this particular region of the world, this country, whatever it is, whatever you were made to believe through the trauma that happened to you or the socialization that happened to you. We get this a lot. Our families will say, we teach little girls to be careful of little boys. We teach little boys to be careful of climbing and playing too hard and roughhousing. We teach people of color to be afraid of people who are not of color. We teach people who are not of color to be afraid of people of color. We get socialized into all these different things that say this world is not wholly safe. It's not unconditionally safe, right? And that this world is not an unconditionally good thing to be inside of. And what ends up happening again is when you get that beliefs, you then begin to create a world for yourself that affirms that. And you cannot experience anything different outside of what your particular belief system is, outside of what your truths are that you've held. And this is not your fault. This is why I tell people, even though you create your world 100%, it's not your fault. Creation, what's been created, especially the things that are painful, or that make the struggling that you have or the conflict in your world, it's not your fault, because these are not things that you consciously put into yourself. They're usually things that happen in your childhood, usually before you're about 7 years of age. These things start to get shaped. Your environment starts to shape them. Your family system starts to shape them. Your schooling starts to shape them. They shape this kind of beliefs that disconnect you and divorce you from your innocence, the real core truth of your soul, which is nothing is wrong with you. You are a wholly good thing. And this world is a wholly good and safe thing to be inside of. But the second you believe differently is when you begin to create a world for yourself. Literally, you create a world. This is your power as a soul. As a soul, you have all power to create worlds. That's literally what the power of the soul is. It creates worlds. And you are creating your own personal world here. And your personal world is created either out of the wholeness of your innocence or the disconnection from it. And the disconnection from our innocence creates a world of pain and a world of limitation and a world of lack. Really lack and threat. are the two things that it creates. So you will see a world that is proven to you that there's something less than in it, especially something less than about you. And you'll create a world that makes it seem like you're being threatened somehow, that you're not safe, and there are threats out there to you. And again, this is not your fault. This is something that was given to you, that was not consciously decided on by you, but that was given to you by the outside. But what you create from it, once it becomes internal, once it becomes how you think about yourself and how you feel about yourself, it then becomes what you create for yourself. And so this is why when you're disconnected from your innocence, we create, really, instead of lives that feel like playgrounds and living our dreams, we create haunted houses for ourselves. We create lives of terror, lives of pain, lives where we're always looking around a corner to protect ourselves from something. And even though you can create things, and you can ask for what you want, and you can create those things from that space. So you can definitely create a lot of money when you're disconnected from your innocence. But that money will come, and you'll still not feel enough, and you'll still feel threatened, right? We see examples of that all over in the world. There are many, many millionaires who are have all the money. They've created more money than they can spend in a lifetime, but they're not happy. A lot of them are still suicidal. A lot of them don't feel enough, and they suffer with bad body image and self-image and all things like that, because money doesn't heal the disconnection, right? Now, I don't want to put another thing in your consciousness to say that money equals disconnection, because it does not. There are many people who are wealthy that still are connected to their innocence, and they are happy, and they create, and their manifestations support that happiness. But money does not solve the disconnection. It does not heal the trauma. It does not solve the bad socialization, the negative socialization. It doesn't do that, right? So only reconnecting to the innocence does that. So you can create money. You can create relationships. You can attract the very person you put on your vision board to you when you're not connected to your innocence. Your dream person, whoever that person is, whatever type of person that is, you can attract that. You can attract that person to you, even if you're not connected to your innocence and not embodying your innocence. But that relationship won't make you happy, and it won't make you feel free. Again, because everything has to, at the core, if you still have the disconnection, everything is going to come back to that disconnection. So you attract the relationship, you get the relationship, but you find it's not really fulfilling, or you find you're having all these issues in this relationship that still make you feel like something is wrong with you, or make you feel like you're not enough, or that you're not safe in the world, right? And this happens all the time, no matter what type of body you think, maybe if I lost the weight, so you lose the weight, and you get the relationship, and it still doesn't feel good to be in, right? It's still not whole, and you're still not happy in it. Or whatever you believe you need to do to get this relationship, and you do it, and you get it, and it comes, and it still doesn't solve that issue, because external things do not solve internal disconnections from the soul. That's not how that works. So you still can create from a disconnection. We're all creating anyway. Your creation power never stops, but the creations are always going to come back to the root of this disconnection. They're always going to feel like that. That's how, because everything gets manifested through you. It's the filter through you. So source energy, when you want something, it gets poured through your energy, the energy that you're holding here in this body, in this lifetime. And if that energy that you're holding is one of that you're divorced from your innocence, right? That you're feeling, and some people will call this low vibration, but it's a little bit different than that. It's literally about, and while it is a lower vibration, because anything that's not your innocence is going to be a lower vibration. Your innocence is a higher vibration. But it's really just about the messaging that the disconnection says. So if I feel not enough, and this was something that I was going through in my healing journey, I was asking for healing. I was asking for better thing, more money. I was asking for all those things. And while I was able to manifest a lot of that, my core wounding, right, was still that I was not enough. and that I wasn't safe in the world. It wasn't safe to be all of myself. So I had more money, and I had, I had some things that I was asking for, but I felt more unenough, not enough, unattractive, unsafe. And what we do a lot of times when we feel unsafe in the world, like when we're manifesting things, so you get more money, you get the relationships, you feel unsafe. When you feel unsafe, you'll do things to try and to make you feel more safe. That you'll do things that will make you think you're protecting yourself in some way. And some of the main ways we do that is that we hide ourselves. We don't ever fully be some aspect of ourselves. That part could be our sexuality. It could be aspects of our personality. You know, if we think that, the world won't really, they'll reject or criticize or shame our sexuality, we'll hide aspects and we'll try to be something that we're not. If we think some part of our personality, maybe we're really silly, or maybe we could be really silly, we could be really quirky, we could be very funny, or we could not be. We could be more serious. But if there's something about your personality, and you may feel that people may ridicule it, or you won't belong, or they won't approve of you if you express that part of your personality, we'll hide that part. We'll suppress that part. That's part of what we do when we feel like the world is not safe. We suppress and we hide parts of ourselves. And that is highly dangerous, because suppressing and hiding ourselves, one, keeps us from ever being fully present in our lives, because we can't be present if there's a part of you you're rejecting, or you're abandoning, or you're pushing aside, or you're suppressing, or you're hiding. You will never be fully present in the world. And until we're fully present, we can't ever be whole. We can't ever experience our wholeness. And we can never really be our true selves. And when you're not our true selves, you don't get the type of stuff that you don't get. Your truest dreams don't manifest, because your truest dreams are given to your true self. And only your true self gets to experience your true dreams. So we keep ourselves, when we hide ourselves in that way, try to be self, we keep ourselves from the manifestation of things we actually want. And we keep ourselves from experiencing our wholeness, and we're not ever happy. When you're suppressing yourself, or you're hiding yourself, or you're trying to protect yourself in certain ways, you will play small sometimes to try and protect ourselves. We won't say what we really believe. If there's part of our intellect that we think, will make us not belong, or will be ridiculed or shamed, we'll play small. We won't really express what we know. We won't express what we believe in the world. This was something that I went through for a long time. I knew a lot of different, I had many different mystical experiences when I was very young, and all through my life. And I knew very differently about I was learning a lot differently about how the world worked and who we really were. But I was really terrified to speak all of this out, because it was very different from what I was hearing, not just in my culture or my social, or in my surroundings or my environment, but even a lot of the spiritual teachers that I was following. It was very different than I was hearing from them. And I was afraid that if I came out and I said everything that I was learning through my healing journey, and I was learning through my life, that I'd be ostracized, I'd be ridiculed. People would say I was a quack. My culture would abandon me. And I was horrified. So I played small, and I wouldn't speak out. And this happens a lot. When we think that there's something that the world, it's not really fully safe to be ourselves some type of way in the world, and the world's not wholly safe, right? That message is out there. And when we take that message in, it makes us suppress our lives, hide ourselves. And that begins to feel like bondage. That begins to feel like imprisonment. It makes you feel like you can't ever fully be yourself. And it may not even happen, like this. It may happen in your relationships. There's many of us who have relationships where we don't feel free in those relationships. We don't feel like we're fully ourselves. We feel imprisoned by those relationships. And so this is what happens. This is the type of lives we create for ourselves when we're not attached to our innocence. And again, the innocence is the understanding and the feeling, right? So it's an understanding in the consciousness, and the feeling in the body. It's in the vibration. This is basically what the vibration is, how you emotionally feel in your body. That's what a vibration is. It's the energy of it. And so what your innocence is the understanding and the feeling of that there's nothing wrong with you, that you're holy enough, and that you're a wholly good thing, that there's no unconditionally, that there's not pieces of you that are good and then pieces of you that you need to divorce from yourself that are not good, that will make you, lose approval or lose people's love, right? Or make you not belong, right? When you understand that all of you is enough and all of you is good, then you begin to show up. You begin to be fully present. You begin to express yourself fully. You begin to take off the limits and the mask, and you begin to just allow all of your being to exist. And that's when true happiness comes. And that's when you have a sense of freedom, right? And that's when you begin to create lives and create experiences and relationships and events that affirm that. Your events start when you start to understand that there's nothing wrong with me. Not just like you have a cerebral understanding, but you really feel it down in your body. You feel it in your cells. You can feel it in your energy. There's nothing wrong with me. I am enough, and I'm a wholly good thing unconditionally. You begin to create a different life experience from that. What begins to show up for you is different, right? So when I began to feel that I was enough, I started to notice that, and your body, if you're experiencing an illness, by the way, your body starts to heal. The more you feel that there's nothing wrong with you, the more you have to have evidence of that. Again, the universe's main responsibility is to make all of your beliefs come true, to make all your truths become real. So I'm going to say that again. The universe's main responsibility is to make all of your beliefs come true and all of your truths become real. Meaning they're part of your reality. They are real lived experiences for you. So when you start to believe there's nothing wrong with you, then you have to have an experience that affirms and confirms that, because the universe can't make you crazy. So if you believe something, you have to have evidence for it in your life. When you believe that you're worthy, and you reconnect to, and this is another thing, the more you reconnect to the truth of your soul, meaning your eternal cosmic truth, the truth, the part that the God part of you understands, the more you connect to that in your consciousness, that's when you start to create miraculous things in the world. That's when you really start to be the presence of God on the planet, literally. Because that's what God knows. God knows it's enough, that it's wholly good, and that nothing is wrong with it. And your relationships begin to change, become more fulfilling. They become deeper when you connect to that part of your innocence. Your health gets better when you connect to that part of your innocence. Your work gets better. Your service in the world gets better. Your entire life gets better when you connect to that part. And when you start to connect to the other part of your innocence, which is this world is a safe thing to be in. And I know this is a very hard one, because in every aspect of our lives, especially in Western culture today, I don't care where you go, whether you're reading the newspaper, whether you're watching television, whether you're in school, whether you're even in a church, the message of danger and fear is rampant. It is everywhere. And the message is telling you, you are not fully safe here. You are not wholly safe here. I don't care who you are, be it woman, man, black, white, brown, other color, whatever sexuality you are, whatever, you are not safe. It's not, what you're eating is not safe. Who you are is not safe. Where you live is not safe. What you're talking about is not safe. What you want to do is not safe. It's everywhere. And no wonder we're creating this world. If you look around this world, and all these horrors that are going on are manifestations of how we feel unsafe in the world. Because the universe, if you feel unsafe in the world, remember what I said, the universe has to make all of your beliefs come true and all of your truths become real. So if you believe that there's danger in the world, there has to be. If you believe you're unsafe in the world, you must be. You must have reason to feel that way. You must see things that can confirm this. You must have an experience in your life that confirms this. You must have some type of relationship, whether it's an intimate relationship or a work relationship or a friendship relationship, that confirms this. This is just our truths becoming real. That's all they are. But when you change your truth, you create a different reality. When you change your belief system, you experience a different truth, right? And the truth, the one that your soul knows, which is part of your innocence, is that this world that you chose to come into is a very good world to come into. It is a safe world and it is a fun place to be. Right. And again, don't worry if that's not your experience. I understand. Just know somewhere in your childhood you were made to believe that it wasn't, and you've created these experiences that prove you, and they're very real. So I don't ever take that from people. I don't ever try to say that what you're experiencing is not real. It's very real for you. You are experiencing that. But I want to tell you why you're experiencing that, why it's showing up like that, and how you can get a different experience for yourself, because it's very possible. No matter who you are and what's going on, a different experience is very possible, and the road to that is to reconnect to your innocence, reconnect to the part of you that still remembers and that knows that this is a very safe place to be, and that this world is a wholly good thing to be, right? And so, I like to use my experiences. So there were a lot of things that I was socialized and traumatized around this particular idea of being safe in the world. I believed I wasn't safe. I believed that being same gender loving wasn't safe. I grew up in the Midwest. I grew up in a very religious environment, and a very religious environment that said if you were same gender loving, something was wrong with you and that you weren't safe. And I mean, like, physically safe. There were a lot of bashings that were happening to people that were same gender loving. There were just unsafe. And so I was raised to believe this. I saw in my socialized to believe this. And so I hid myself for a very long time because I was horrified that my life was in danger. Right. And so I was never fully my truth because of that. And I was afraid that I'd be ostracized, right? If they knew that I was same gender loving, then they would push me away as well. They would withhold love from me, right? Which is one of the very primal fears of human beings, is that something will happen and we'll be abandoned and they will withhold their love from us. So that was one piece. The other piece too, a large piece for me, and these are pieces I had to heal in my healing journey, because I had to begin to feel safe. And it's no wonder I had a lot of stuff happening, in my lower body and in my kidneys and things like that. The lower chakras are the chakras that deal with safety. So when you understand about the chakra system, they're the energy centers of the body. They're the centers where the energy of our soul pours through us and into the world, and it pours through and into our bodies and through and into the world to manifest not just our lives, but it manifests our health, because the energy of our soul is what our body needs to stay well. When we hold these fears in us, because this is basically what they are, they're fears. When we get disconnected from our innocence, is because we're afraid afraid that we're not enough, and afraid that we're not safe. Those particular fears block certain aspects of our body. They disconnect the energy of our soul from us. And so when people talk about the chakras being closed, they can never be fully closed, but they can be very, very closed. And what's happening when the chakra is closed, the energy of the soul is not pouring through that center. And so because of the closing. Fear closes down the chakra. Fear closes down the chakra in a certain area, right? So if your throat chakra is closed, you're afraid to speak your truth. You're afraid to say what you really need to say, right? And you're afraid because you may feel that it's not, and again, you're usually afraid to say because you feel like it's not safe, that some harm is going to come to you some way, or you're going to be ridiculed or, disapproved of or abandoned. But fear closes down the chakra, and it keeps the soul's energy from fully connecting in right there and pouring through. Right. And your body you can't create well in your life when that chakra is closed, and your body can't stay well. It can't stay healthy. It will start to manifest in illness or disease when the energy of the soul is not pouring through you clearly and unimpededly. So I said all that to say that, I was having problems with a lot of problems down, like in my legs, and down in the lower chakras, not just in the root chakra, but in the lower chakras. And I'll do another video where I talk about this more in detail. But it was no wonder why those chakras were closed, because those really have to do with safety. and really have to be with kind of being in the body and being and feeling safe in the world. And I didn't feel like that. I wasn't made to feel like that. And I also wasn't not made to feel safe in the world because I was a black male. I was a black male child, and there was a lot of messaging in my family, in my culture, and in my society that blackness wasn't a safe thing to be in the world, that people didn't like it, that they thought it was, not only did they think it was not enough, but there was harm that came to blackness. You know, there was harm from the police, there was harm from white people, there was just harm, and I was socialized to believe that just not to feel wholly safe in this black body. And a large part of my healing journey was to release those fears that I was socialized into, and to start reconnecting to my innocence, which knew that no matter what my skin color, I'm a soul, I'm God in human form. I'm safe everywhere I go. Everywhere I go is my home. Everywhere I go, love is available to me, right? And again, that was not my experience before. Everywhere I went, you know, I experienced a lot of racism growing up, a lot of racism growing up. I experienced violence on my body growing up. But when I began to reconnect to my innocence, and I began to shift the beliefs that I had, and I began to really start to believe and to feel that I was safe, and that my blackness was holy, and that it was lovable, and it was loved wherever I went, it shifted my reality. I stopped having those experiences. It's not that I don't see them in the outside in the world with other people, but I did not have those experiences in my body, even in the same places I used to go before, and used to live before, and used to exist before, where I did. And so this is very important, your innocence. And so what ended up happening when I began to reconnect to the, and this is what happens when we reconnect to the innocence, that we are safe in the world. I began to experience freedom, true freedom. The freedom, you don't have to like punch and fight your way for freedom. You don't have to war your way to freedom. You have to connect into your soul. You have to bring your soul back into your belief system and into your body. That is the key to freedom, because that's what your innocence is. Your innocence is your soul, right? And if you're just tuning in now, be sure to tune in and watch the beginning of this video, because that's where I really describe what your innocence actually is. It's really your soul. It's the essence of your soul. It's the essence of your being, right? And when I began to connect with that, and I began to bring that more into my body, and I began to hold that more into my belief system, it ridiculously and miraculously changed my life, and it healed my body. It was the core piece. It wasn't the I did all these different diets, and they helped a little bit, but what really shifted was this. My body began to heal miraculously, and it's still healing things miraculously. The more and more and more I'm beginning to get that, the more and more I'm beginning to bring the innocence of my being into my life, the more I'm seeing things in my body miraculously just heal themselves. The more I'm beginning to see things in my relationships go deeper, the more my work is just ridiculously taking off without me having to work so hard. Struggle and suffering are direct indicators that you're disconnected from your innocence. It's not a judgment. It's not a fault. It's just a signal. It's the signal. If you have struggle, if you're having a lot of suffering, you know, if you're having a lot of conflict in your life, if you're having a lot of trauma still in your life, that is a direct signal that you've been disconnected from, and you've been divorced from your innocence. And it's time to do the work of reconnection. It's time to do the work. There are many pathways you can take to doing that work. There are many different modalities you can do to that work. You know, that is what my work is about. My work is the core of my work is about helping people reconnect to that innocence in their minds and in their bodies, so that they can begin to create more healthy and delicious lives for themselves, right? That's exactly what my work is the core of. So if you want to reach out to me, you can definitely, you know, send me an inbox or an email, and we can start the process of working together. But it doesn't have to be me. There's so many people out there that are helping you, that are helping people do this work. There's so many different paths out there. You know, meditation is a tool that helps you just kind of tune in to how your innocence feels, and to get the guidance from that innocence. There's just many tools and many paths and many modalities out there, but you have to do it. You have to do the work of it. And I promise you it's worth it. I promise you, the more you get your innocence, the more you reconnect to your innocence, the more you reconnect to your soul and innocence, I'm saying are the same things here. The more you do the connection work to that, the better your life will taste to you, the better your life will feel to you, the better things you will manifest, the easier you will manifest them too. It won't take all this work to manifest them. And the more alive you will feel, the more happy you will feel, the more free you will feel, and the more you'll start to feel like this life is worth it. It is worth it. Your soul did not make a wrong choice by manifesting here. It made the right one. It just so happens that you were disconnected from the truth of understanding that, and now it's time to reconnect yourself to that, however you have to. As always, you guys, I love you. I sincerely hope this message helps you in some way understand what's going on and understanding what the path is to a better life. I'll continue to do. I have so much I want to share with you all. There's so much more to say about how the process happens. More stories that I need to share personally about how I was awakened to what all this is about. And things that happened in my life that showed me exactly how reconnecting to our innocence can shift everything. I think my next video will be a personal story that I'm going to share with you about that. But I have a lot more to share, so stay tuned. And as always, if you want to go deeper and you're ready to do the work, just reach out to me. You don't have to, but I'm here. That's what my work is all about. Until next time, though, I love you. I see the best for you. Be well, be safe, and live deliciously. Bye.